Hi, so today we are looking at the coordinate plane. This is something that y'all should have seen before now, so this should just be a review. And the big thing about the coordinate plane is that you really do need to have a good visual of what it looks like when we talk about some of these words and where their placement is. And if you have those memorized, then using the coordinate plane is actually very simple to do. Let's go over a few of those real quick. So we have the x-axis and the y-axis. That's actually what makes our coordinate plane. Our x-axis is right here. It's the line that is horizontal, and it just goes all the way across. You guys can see that it has tick marks starting at 0, going to the right, which is positive numbers, and then at 0 going to the left. Those are your negative values. You also have a y-axis. The y-axis is the vertical one, the one that goes up and down. I'm just tracing it right now. And it's the same thing. It starts at 0 and it goes up for all your positive values and down for your negative values. So the next one I want to talk about is where those two axes meet, right there in the middle, where that red dot is now. That's called the origin, and that's where you actually begin every coordinate plane question. You're going to start at the origin, and their ordered pair is 0, 0. So the origin is always 0, 0. Let's talk about what that means. The 0, 0. This first 0 is going to be dealing with your x value, going left or going right. Okay, you're either going to go left or right here. And you go left if your answer or if your number is negative, and you go right if that value is positive. So it's just telling you where to go. The second number in your ordered pair is dealing with your y value, whether to go up or down, up or down. And same thing, I'm sure you guys can guess already. Up is going to be your positive numbers and down is going to be your negative numbers. Ordered pairs are always separated by a comma, so you want to make sure you always have your comma. And then they're always in parentheses also. So that's just kind of the right etiquette for writing your ordered pairs. So now that we have our axes and we have our ordered pairs and our origin, let's talk about what these make. These end up making 4 quadrants. You have your first quadrant, which is going to be, like if you're thinking about a clock, this is going to be like where the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock is. This is your first quadrant. Both of your x and y values are positive in your first quadrant. If you think, you go to the right and you go up to get to the first quadrant. So both of those are positive. And to name your quadrants, you go counterclockwise. So the next one to the left is your quadrant 2. Quadrant 2 has a negative x value and a positive y value. And think about why that is. If you start at your x and you go to the left to get to your second quadrant, you're moving into those negative values, and then you have to go up, and that's why your y values are positive. Right below that is your quadrant 3. This is where your values are negative and negative for both x and y, and that's because to get to the third quadrant, you have to go to the left and down are both your negative ways. And then the fourth and last quadrant is down here in the lower right-hand corner. Here you have a positive x value and a negative y value, and all those same reasons we've talked about. I do want to point out real quick before we move on to examples is how the quadrants are named. If you notice that they are all named in Roman numerals. So we've got quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have our x and y value, and we have our ordered pairs starting with our origin at 0, 0. Let's try some examples. Here it says to write the ordered pairs for each point and name the quadrant in each that's located. And just for sake time, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take these bottom ones off. I don't think we need to do 8 examples of this. I think we can get this all in 4. So we're naming the ordered pair and we're naming the quadrant. So first one is in point C. So go down to your graph and find point C. It's right there. To name it, we start at the origin. I go to the left 1 and up 2. Left means negative, so that would be a negative 1, and up 2 would be a positive 2. And this one was in the second quadrant. Letter D is down in the lower left-hand corner. Again, start at 0, we go to the left 2 and down 2. So left 2 is -2, down 2 is -2, and this would be our third quadrant. Letter E is up here. We go 1, 2 to the left, 1, 2, 3 up, -2, 3. And again, this one is in that same quadrant as letter C, which was the second quadrant. And then the last one is F. We go 0, right or left. We stay right on that y-axis, and we go down 1, so -1. And I'm really glad this example is on here because if you notice at point F, it's not in a quadrant. It's close to the third and the fourth quadrant, but it's not in either. So the answer for this is what quadrant is point F in? It is actually on the y-axis, and you can just write that down. So that was kind of a trick question. It wasn't in any quadrant. And the last example we have here is a standardized test practiced. Which of the following gives the coordinate of the point where the frog's eye is located? So here's where the eye is. And I like to actually treat this as if it was not multiple choice and then find the answer that matches mine. So I'm going to start at my origin. I'm going to go to the right 1, and then I end up having to go just halfway to the 2. So my first point is 1.5. That's my x value. And then I go up 1, 2, 3, 4 to get to that I. So I'm looking for a point at 1.5, 4. That would be choice B. They tried to trick us in letter D with 4, 1.5. So you need to remember that your first one is dealing with your x value and your second number is dealing with your y value. And also this is a good time just to look and see that you can have things that are halfway through a point. And that's just fine. You could have things that are a fourth or a third or an eighth of the way. So it's just fine to have decimal values and fraction values in your ordered pairs. So good luck, you guys.